Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. The studio is quiet enough to hear paper breathe. A single lamp pools light over a script. Then, the sentence that changes everything. A master director, Zhang Yimou, says one actor is walking an irreplaceable path. Not because of noise, not because of a headline, but because the work whispers louder than applause. Tonight on Update X24H, we follow that whisper. What does irreplaceable look like when the cameras are off? In acting, reputation is a fragile thing. Today's trend disappears by tomorrow's lunch. But craft stays. Think of theater traditions from Stanislavski to Meisner. Attentive listening, truthful behavior, and the relentless pursuit of detail. Now imagine those ideas channeled into a modern screen career that values stillness over spectacle. That is where our story begins, with an artist who has learned to do the hardest, least dramatic thing in entertainment. Prepare. As we turn the pages, you'll see how discipline becomes emotion, how micro-movements become meaning, and how a performer's private habits ripple into public memory. Ready? The door opens. The path starts here. When a veteran filmmaker singles out an actor, the remark isn't casual. It's a professional reading. The significance is not flattery, but filtration. A director filters performance through years of rehearsal rooms, edit suites, and festival floors. Praise that survives this filter carries weight with audiences across cultures, especially viewers who value longevity over hype. In global cinema, we've seen how sustained quality relies on two pillars: sensitivity and depth. Sensitivity is the fine brush, those small adjustments that let feelings land without fanfare. Depth is the underdrawing, research, patience, and the slow layering of choices until a character seems to breathe alone. Scholars of performance often note that audiences don't consciously track technique. They sense coherence. Body, voice, intention aligned. That alignment is what many refer to when they call a path irreplaceable. Not uniqueness of personality, but consistency of practice. For mature viewers, this resonates with lived experience. Good work habits outlast bright lights. The headline here is simple. The endorsement frames a thesis, discipline makes talent legible, and invites us to examine the evidence with fresh eyes. Great screen acting often feels like it just happened. Yet behind that ease is a language of the body. Researchers like Paul Ekman mapped micro-expressions, fleeting muscular patterns linked to emotion. Good actors don't memorize charts. They internalize awareness. They learn how the eyes tighten when suspicion flickers, how the neck and jaw subtly brace when a secret is swallowed, how breath tells truth even when dialogue conceals it. Add to that foundational training Stanislavski's focus on objectives and truthful circumstances, Meisner's repetition that sharpens listening, the economy prized in modern film work where the lens magnifies every choice. The routine is rarely glamorous. Reading source material, marking shifts of power line by line, rehearsing blink rhythm to regulate screen stillness, recording takes, then self-critiquing with uncomfortable honesty. Over time, this yields a performance that travels well across cultures because the grammar of behavior is human, not local. The method, then, is a choreography of tiny decisions. Less voice, cleaner posture, quieter eyes, until the character's inner life appears without being announced. Consider how range is built, not declared. In period pieces, restraint reads as dignity. In espionage or finance dramas, it reads as calculation. In contemporary stories, it reads as authenticity. What links them is detachment from vanity. An actor cannot serve both the mirror and the moment. Viewers notice when the camera meets a persona instead of a person. The stronger path is to remove self-advertising and let intention do the talking. Acting coaches sometimes call this the why-to-what bridge. Why does the character act and what changes because they did? When that bridge is solid, the performance feels inevitable. Of course the eyes move then. Of course the breath tighten now. Genre shifts become opportunities. The stillness that signals nobility in historical costume becomes menace in a thriller. The same finely tuned gaze that suggests scholarship in a biographical drama suggests suspicion in a conspiracy plot. For an international audience, this universality is gold. You don't need cultural context to read truth. You just need a camera close enough to see the thought arrive before the words. Let's add practical color, brand safe, writes clean, and useful for anyone who loves craft. The silence ledger. 1 minute a day to transmit a full emotion without words. Immediately after, write one line. Which muscle led the truth? This conditions precision. Eye contact minutes. Hold focus for 10 to 15 seconds. Reset. Repeat. Film changes happen in milliseconds. Training attention pays dividends on set and in life. Why, then what? In the margin of every scene, note why the character speaks and what should be different when the line lands. This breaks decorative acting. Microgesture audit. Record hands only. If the hands lie, the body's center isn't anchored. Breath map. Mark where breath begins, stalls, or releases in a scene. Breath is the stealth editor of emotion. Such drills echo insights from performance psychology. Small, repeatable behaviors establish automaticity, skills accessible under pressure. Across Seoul, Tokyo, Bangkok, Paris, Toronto, Singapore, Manila, Sydney, Jakarta, and beyond, these simple practices translate. They reduce noise, increase signal, and prepare an actor to give the camera what it loves most: clarity. Mature viewers read subtext fluently. The emotional journey here tends to move in 5 beats. Surprise. The endorsement reframes expectation. Less about fandom, more about workmanship. Recognition. Habits you value in your own life. Punctuality, preparation, follow-through. Appear in an unfamiliar arena, making cinema feel closer. Respect. The visible calm of a scene hints at invisible practice. You sense the rehearsal hours the way you sense craftsmanship in a well-made instrument. Connection. Performances serve story rather than self, inviting empathy instead of demanding admiration. Inspiration. A principle emerges preparation before prize that travels into daily routines, whether you are mentoring, managing, or learning anew after retirement. Communication researchers often emphasize that identification grows when viewers can map on-screen discipline to off-screen choices. That is why these narratives play well across cultures. They are not about celebrity mythology, but about habits anyone can test. You leave with a quiet conviction. Excellence is mostly ordinary days done carefully. The screen fades to black, but the lesson lingers the next morning. At your desk, in your workshop, or on your walk. Irreplaceable is easily misunderstood. It doesn't mean no one else can do it. It means no one else will do it in quite this way because few will pay this kind of attention this consistently. Legacy thinking in performance borrows from sport and classical music. Repetition, feedback, and progressive overload, adding difficulty in small, sustainable increments. Neuroscience of learning describes myelination, where repeated, correct firing of neural pathways increases speed and reliability. In acting, that looks like daily drills of listening, breath control, and intention tracking until choices become clean at lower effort. Off-screen, it looks like sensible recovery. Sleep, hydration, vocal care, and posture because fatigue is the enemy of nuance. Audiences rarely see this microeconomy of effort, but they feel the dividend. A performance that seems simple yet proves hard to imitate. For the long arc of a career, this is the safest investment. Hype inflates and deflates. Habits compound. Legacy is not a statue. It is a stack of well-spent days, pressed together until they hold. You don't need a film set to benefit from craft, teaching, or mentoring. Use the silence ledger for presentation nerves. 60 seconds of quiet emotion, then 1 sentence of reflection. You'll see posture and breath settle. Leading teams? Apply why, then what? To meetings, every agenda item must state its intention and the change it seeks. This reduces repetition and clarifies ownership. Negotiating or interviewing. Practice eye contact minutes. Presence outperforms volume. Learning something new at 55 or 65. Keep drills short and daily. Habits beat sprints. Family conversations. Breath mapping helps during difficult talks. A deliberate exhale before replying prevents escalation. These ideas come from a simple premise shared by performance coaches and behavioral scientists alike. Specific practice builds specific confidence. Not motivational posters, not grand promises, just small, faithful reps. The gift of stories like this is not celebrity proximity. It is proof that careful effort still moves the needle. Whether you are returning to a hobby, guiding a junior colleague, or simply wanting to speak with more grace in everyday life. If we distilled the journey to an image, it would not be a red carpet. It would be a quiet table, a marked-up script, and a clock that keeps honest time. Somewhere in the margin is a private vow: touch the trophy only when fully prepared. That line is less about awards and more about sequencing. Learn, test, refine, deliver. The marketplace rewards spectacle. The camera rewards truth. Truth is small, local, and repeatable. It lives in the half-second where an eye glances away because the thought hurts, in the fractional pause before an apology, in the gentler voice used when goodbye is permanent. These are the coordinates of screen honesty, and they can only be found by walking the same ground many times. For an actor, the reward is durability. For an audience, it is trust. You return to the work because it returns the favor. It respects your intelligence, it keeps its promises, and it grows. That, finally, is why a path like this feels irreplaceable. Not rare, but reliably human. From London to Los Angeles, Seoul to Singapore, Tokyo to Toronto, Bangkok to Bordeaux, Sydney to Surabaya, audiences converge on one truth. Careful work reads clearly, whatever the language. Zhang Yimou's endorsement functions as a signpost, but the road is paved by everyday choices. Reading deeply, listening closely, practicing quietly. Acting theory, cognitive science, and audience studies meet at this crossroads. Attention is the engine of meaning. When a performer disciplines attention, eyes, breath, posture, intention, the camera amplifies it, and the viewer recognizes it as life. That's why this story belongs to more than one country or one generation. It isn't an argument about who is best. It is a reminder of how excellence is made. Patiently, specifically, and with respect for the audience's time. In an age of distraction, that respect is rare enough to feel luxurious. Perhaps irreplaceable is simply another word for dependable. The light fades, the notebook closes, and somewhere, a routine begins again. Another minute of silence, another line in the margin. Another day invested in a future performance that will feel effortless when it finally arrives. If you appreciate calm, respectful storytelling about Asian cinema, please subscribe to Update X24H, like this video, and share it with friends who value craft over noise. Thank you for spending your time with us. Stay with the channel for more thoughtful stories, tailored for an international audience.